As First Nations, if you don't know where you have come from or where you came from, how do you expect to know where you're going?
Aboriginal students, they have to be proud of who they are. We have to hang on to our Cree language and culture, because it is very, very important for us to identify ourselves as Native people, First Nations people.
Every now and then I'll hear, well, we have no Indigenous students in our school. And they're not resistant, they're just wondering, well, we have no Indigenous students in our school. And I'll say, number one, you have no self-identified Indigenous students in your school, and not all Indigenous families identify.
And we, the Métis, were hiding in plain sight. That's why we had to stay close as families and kinship, protecting each other. You can spot discrimination, you can tell, and the energy that feeds off that person, you can tell when there's going to be an incident.
Back in the residential school days in my life, I had long hair. My parents and grandparents said, okay, well, braid your hair 3 strands. Okay, Ma, Dad, and myself on your left shoulder. And then on the other shoulder, the other 3 strands will be the creator, the ceremonies, and the drums. And so when those were cut, I'm sure that not only me, but others were damaged just by that. I guess I would call it a cut from my identity.
We're overcoming colonization, it's now neo-colonialism, the residential school syndrome, 60 scoop. Now we're going through child welfare to try not be too dramatic about it, but those have had a really negative impact on identity.
When First Nations people can really share their way of life and help others understand, then we can start to communicate. Only when we are honest with each other is when we can really communicate.
Partake in ceremonies like a powwow or a round dance, or go to a sun dance, go to a sweat lodge. Get a feeling for who these people are.
I think people need to learn this because they don't fully understand what Indigenous means and what it means to be an Indigenous person. For me personally, it means I have a history. I have respect for more than just people.
There needs to be an understanding of the different rites of passage, for example. There needs to be an understanding of the way in which our Indigenous students sometimes are not in school and the reasons why they're not in school.
Indigenous students need to see Indigenous leaders. They need to see the people in the school system who are doing well. They need to see the people that have come from their community, having gone through the very same issues in their community, having had the very same background, leading in their schools and being successful in their lives.
So we need to get up and be determined and have that ego, that positive ego to succeed in life. You'll never regret it.
So that's part of the education. You need to help our students be proud of who they are and then be able to say, I'm a proud First Nations and I want to be this, I want to accomplish this. And I have my 4 directions that it's going to help me and my elders.